So this is the 0830 hours GMT edition of the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast on the internet, only on the internet, under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. This is Friday, the 4th of August 2023. And the main numerically so-called one of the two biggest circulating print outlets, tabloids, Fleet Street papers, the SCUM, owned and controlled by Rupert Dirty Digger Murdoch, has got the grinning headline, this big splash, big letters in white ink against black background. Harry snubbed for Queen Memorial. And then it says, and even Andrew's got an invite. Now, Andrew is, of course, the rapist and the prostitute wife, ex wife, still features, despite the fact that last week she generated a completely opposite image of herself, Sarah Ferguson, claiming that she had a cancer or whatever. But now, in the picture today, online on the Daily Scum, she's looking as if she has never been fitter. So that's the one that the Scum is celebrating. And the Scum has got a reason for celebrating because apparently, according to the picture of Sarah Ferguson, looks like she has been in the best of health. And she is smiling in that picture next to the rapist Andrew Windsor. And the main heading on the two-page spread, pages 4 and 5 of the Scum, addressed at Harry and Meghan, of course, you're not wanted here. Message to Harry as royals pay tribute to Her Majesty. Now, of course, the news that Harry had lost his case against the Scum, that the Scum celebrated last week, is wrong because the claim against the Scum was not tried in the court. And there is going to be a trial of the case against the Scum as brought by Harry Windsor and also as brought by some other claimants, including Hugh Grant. So, what you've got in the newspapers today is nothing unusual. Same pack of lies, same pack of denials, same pack of fabrications. Now, why do they think that they can do that and they can get away with this? The answer simply is that they believe correctly that they are representing Little England. And the vast majority of the Little English that they represent and that they rely on and they bank on, literally bank on, are zombies. Majority of the zombification has been perpetrated by them. The Scum over the years, even before most of the average zombies were born. Among the other items, of course, is this American fat shaming item. Fat women there, fat actress. And in the column on Ali Ross, they're running a piece headed Kate and co-host Psycho Fantasy Football. This is about Ed Balls co-hosting with Kate Garraway. And it says, Good Morning Britain got off to the worst possible start this week. No sooner was it on air, than presenter Ed Balls was announcing it would be off again at 7:30. But don't worry, added Ed, mastering all the political sincerity at his disposal. It's for the Women's World Cup. Yes, beamed Kate Garraway, a woman who probably thinks Jordan Nobbs is the sequel to what Katie Price did next, Japan versus Spain. It's exciting, yeah. Check my pulse, Kate. I think I may just have one, although this cult like adoration lawyer gave the by this guy Gerard Baker in the piece under the heading New Trump Indictment is a Dangerous Move. Now, on all the known factors, this idiot gets the facts wrong. This particular prosecution, as has been reported by almost all the news items, news pieces that I have seen, has been the most rigorously processed. So, if the so called due process is the kind of thing that is being adhered to or is being observed, then this has met the maximum criteria, maximum number of criteria for due process. So therefore, this is not this is not a responsible piece on the editorial comment page of the Times of London. He says in the last paragraph, the Biden administration's prosecutorial zeal has raised the stakes not just for the former president himself, but for the entire US constitutional settlement. What the fuck does it mean? The jolt it delivers to some Trump's support only reinforces the ominous sense that the country's future will be determined by the complex and balanced machinery of due process. He admits it's a balanced machinery compared to what he has to say in this piece. Justice and law, but by the brute struggle of raw political power. Now he's completely distorted the process. He has actually accused Joe Biden's administration for moving ahead with this prosecution. That cannot be factually right because the majority of sensible Americans and people observing from outside of the USA have been outraged by the behavior of Donald Trump, not only on the 6th of January 2021, but throughout the period that he was in the White House the last time. So, for example, here are some of the titles just to remind anyone watching this. There is the one book that made the early headlines. So let's see what the earlier one was. Michael Wolff has written several books about Donald Trump in the White House. Yeah, this is the one that he actually, the first one, Fire and Fury. And it is said now, it is dated here, published as 2018. And there is the intro. Whatever may become of Trump, this is a book that will endure as a picture of one of the defining figures of our age, John Gray, a news statesman. It is ferociously well written, meticulously focused. These are the comments on that book, critical comments. And there is this plug for this book: New York Times #1 bestseller. With extraordinary access to the Trump White House, Michael Wolff, spelled WOLFF, tells the inside story of the most controversial presidency of our time. The first 9 months of Donald Trump's term were stormy, outrageous, and absolutely mesmerizing. Now, thanks to his deep ties to the West Wing, best-selling author Michael Wolff tells the riveting story of how Trump launched a tenure as volatile and fiery as the man himself. In this explosive book, Wolff provides a wealth of new details about the chaos in the Oval Office. Among the revelations, what President Trump's staff really thinks of him, what inspired Trump to claim he was wiretapped by President Obama, etc. And I shall come to another bit from that book. Now, author Michael Wolff also alleges in Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House that Mr. Trump views Hope Hicks, the White House's 29-year-old communications director, as his real daughter. Hicks was, in fact, thought of as Trump's real daughter, while Ivanka was thought of as his real wife, Mr. Wolff wrote. Donald Trump aides believe Ivanka is his real wife, book claims. Now, where do you go from there? Ivanka is his daughter. So, how can he be thought of by staff in the White House that he considers Ivanka, his daughter, as his real wife? This goes beyond any of the fantasies that have since been published. This is 2018. So the Trump doesn't recognize old friends. Staffers call Ivanka his real wife. Tell all book. More shocking claims about the inner workings of President Donald Trump's White House were released Thursday from author Michael Wolff. This is a piece that is published on January the 4th, 2018, 11:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the USA. More shocking claims about the inner workings of President Donald Trump's White House were released Thursday from author and Hollywood reporter, columnist Michael Wolff. In an essay for the Hollywood Reporter, Wolff alleges that Trump has had recognizing old friends. and that staffers referred to Trump's daughter Ivanka as his real wife, and White House Communications Director Hope Hicks as his real daughter. The allegations are just a few also found in Wolf's upcoming book Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House, out on January the 9th, which chronicles his extensive time spent at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and which included more than 200 interviews with Trump and senior staff over a period of 18 months. So this is the kind of factual background against which Donald Trump has been kind of reported and been featuring in various reports since 2018. So that's 5 years. And so his pleading not guilty is minor event compared to all these revelations early on. Now, this Gerard Baker is, of course, one of the literally thousands of idiots that are posing as journalists on both sides of the Atlantic who have been lying and contradicting. Because in this piece itself, this Baker admits as follows: since what I am about to say will leave some readers thinking I am a Trump apologist, I should repeat Trump's conduct after the election was indefensible, a betrayal of his oath of office, and an abuse of power. It was a naked attempt to remain in office after losing an election that, whatever the questionable ways it was conducted in, whatever the questionable ways it was conducted in the middle of a pandemic, never produced any clear evidence of outcome determinative fraud. But was it a crime? The central problem with the case against Trump is that it rests on the assertion that he knew the election had not been stolen, but produced with devious efforts through aids to have it overturned using a series of abortive, cockamamie Fox constitutional or four constitutional ruses, the last of which was to have Mike Pence, his vice president, on January the 6th, 2021, declare certain states' votes null and void. Smith adduces instances where Trump seems to acknowledge the lie. You are too honest, he tells Pence at one point. One plan, one plan his aides come up with, Trump describes as crazy, but proving by somehow truffling through the rag and bone jumble that passes for Trump's mind that he knew the election hadn't been stolen is not easy. Everything we know about Trump suggests that whatever the truth, he almost certainly did believe he had won. The man's ego is so large, his self belief so invulnerable, that I don't doubt for a second. He thought, and still thinks, he prevailed. He probably believes he discovered penicillin and wrote Chopin's Piano Concerto number 1, for that matter, etc., etc. So this idiot is still believing that this madman, crazy idiot is being unfairly prosecuted, and it will have dangerous repercussions. Now, given that the riot of the 6th of January 2021 is now and has been thoroughly, rigorously examined and investigated, and all the possible likely sources of new outrage and new kind of insurgency in the event of a Trump defeat at the next election, if he is the candidate, it is quite possible that Trump will repeat, and his supporters, so called, will repeat to deny the outcome of the election of 2024 or 2025, whatever the actual year is. But it is more unlikely than likely that they will succeed, because the country was not ready on the 6th of January 2021 for what was happening on the Capitol. The country is more ready in terms of knowledge, in terms of awareness, to deal with anything similar that may be staged. And contrary to the promotion of his personality and outlook and attitude, etc., etc., Donald Trump, as this Jared Baker kind of admits, has got a very confused, incompetent, disorganized mind. It's not possible that he will have suddenly created in his mind a replacement mind which doesn't behave in any way comparable to his mind that he has had for the last 70 years or so. Trump has been openly behaving for the 40 years or even longer as if he is impune from accountability, including the boast that he made that the American Republican Party members were the stupidest on the face of the earth. And for that reason, he chose the Republicans as his party. And by constantly providing a significant number or proportion of the demography that appears to support him, the worst attitude or outlook or view about the Republican Party members in and more idiotic than even he rated them in the 1980s. Let's check what he said in the 1980s. So what they're saying now, they're backtracking. And on this one in 2020, there is a piece copy on the Reuters saying Trump did not call Republicans the dumbest group of voters. And the CNN saying similar things. That Trump, quote, calling Republicans dumb. The CNN is saying that was a fake quote. And the Reno Gazette Journal, under fact check, did Trump say in 1998? I said 1980s, but let's say that they are correct in terms of the year in which he allegedly said this, 98. They're saying did Donald Trump tell People magazine in 1998 that if he ever ran for president, he would do it as a Republican because they are the dumbest group of voters in the country, and that he could lie and they would still eat it up? Answer no, that's a bogus meme. The meme purports to be a quote from Donald Trump in People magazine in 1998 saying, if I were to run, I would run as a Republican. They are the dumbest group of voters in the country. They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they would still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific. So, why are they busy denying that it was? We were alerted to the member, read that again. We were alerted to the meme by a reader, Douglas Thomas of Freeport, New York, among others, who saw it in his Facebook feed, along with a message from someone who said, I just fact checked this. Google Donald Trump, People magazine 1998. This is an actual quote by Trump. Well, we'll save you the effort. It is not an actual quote by Trump. We sourced the People magazine archives and found nothing like this quote in 1998 or any other year. And a public relations representative with People told us that the magazine couldn't find anything like that quote in its archives either. People's Julie Farrin said in an email, People looked into this exhaustively when it first surfaced back in October. We come through every Trump story in our archives. We couldn't find anything remotely like this one, and no interview at all in 1998. In 1998, Trump was cited frequently in the pages of People, but at the time, most of the stories were about Trump's pending divorce from Marla Maples and appearances at various social and entrepreneurial events. There were several stories in the late 1990s about Trump's flirtation, flirtation with the presidential run. This became a running theme for Trump, who claimed he was considering a run for president in 1998, 2000, 2004, and 2012. So, this is a whole detailed, elaborate denial. So, nothing you can read or hear or see about Trump stays as it is first revealed. But at least there has been no denial of two things. One is that he's thought to consider Ivanka Trump as his real wife, and the other is the comment he made about touching women's private parts, and that has not been denied any time at all. Essentially, Donald Trump is an ugly, dirty criminal liar who has no morality, no scruples whatsoever, and was never fit for public office, whatever. The question is that despite all these, the undeniable ones about Trump's unreliability and his unfitness for public office and his criminal record of not paying tax or accepting the obligation for paying tax, the moral opposition to Donald Trump in the US society, US media, has remained very feeble, which may be the main reason why Trump may end up getting the Republicans' nomination again, and then taken further, which may still lead anyone else pretending to be the wannabe for Republicans as presidential candidate far behind, and he end up contesting the election. If the utterances that Donald Trump has made since being ousted or since being out of the White House in 2020, if the utterances are actually checked, fact checked, it will appear that Donald Trump at once is clinically insane and grossly ignorant about constitution, about democracy, international values, and so on. And yet the Democratic Party has not really brought together a narrative that is comprehensive, that is compelling, and that resonate instantly with the ordinary people's perception and ordinary people's knowledge of the ordinary contacts, whoever and wherever the contacts have been made with Donald Trump. So the ordinary people are far ahead when compared to the Democratic Party in understanding the gravity of unfitness that Donald Trump personifies. And I believe that despite the fact that Fox News, the biggest thing that has happened about the election of 2020 is that Rupert Murdoch has settled the defamation case brought against Fox News, which Murdoch owns, by this company that actually was in charge of counting the votes, and which company was attacked by Donald Trump and both directly personally and by his cabal, including some who got less than 10% of the votes. And what happened was that the Fox News reporter or reporters who published the claim on the day of the count that the vote had been rigged knew before they published that the election had not been rigged. And Murdoch himself knew that Fox News was publishing a lie that it knew to be lie. And Murdoch knew on the day that the election had not been rigged. So whoever this Gerard Baker idiot is, Nothing, nothing he says matches with anything that even Rupert Murdoch has said about the 6th of January 2021 so called riot at the Capitol. Capitol is spelled Capitol, not AL. It's not capital, it's Capitol. Going back to the item about Harry and Meghan being snubbed by the royal family over the anniversary, the first year since Queen Brenda passed away. Where do you begin? Where is any evidence of maturity, responsibility, basic steps in this? Where do you begin? These people, King Brian and this current new Prince of Wales and the new Queen Camilla. On the one hand, they have disinvited or not invited Harry and Meghan, but they have invited Fergie and the rapist Andrew. How do they justify this? And what is that going to contribute to the evidence, to the record, to archives of the behavior of the royal family? We shall be talking more about that, of course, in due course. But whatever the motivation, the King Brian comes across as a very stupid individual. He's not showing any standard at all. Now we move to the I newspaper of today, who have got this infant called Sebastian Payne. Sebastian Payne has been launched as a columnist on the I newspaper, in addition to the fact that he has got an enterprise of his own, a website linked to the media insider information, etc., etc. Thus, on page 17 of today's I newspaper, Sebastian Payne is saying, why Britain must become a nation of nerds. So let's see what he's saying. Let's make Britain a nation of nerds. Prime Minister is right to try to turn UK into science superpower. To become a richer and happier nation, we need to shed our anxieties about science. Now, this is not an original spin by an incumbent at number 10 Downing Street. Of course, Harold Wilson, the Labour Party's only Nardi, a scientifically educated, learned Prime Minister Harold Wilson, was the one that effectively brought about the Open University, which lasted for a good few decades before degenerating. The Open University has been in a degenerating mode for the last 20 years, but it prospered and it represented a real, genuine innovation in learning outside of the formal boundaries and formal kind of restricted places ordinarily allocated to rich people and people of dubious political leanings. The Open University, of course, is something that has not been repeated. The kind of excellence that the Open University achieved compared to the rest of the university or academic services on offer in the United Kingdom, this has not been matched by anything else that any government has launched. And perhaps the reason why the Open University kind of initiative began to degenerate was because of the majority of the tutors and students, although they enrolled as either tutors or students, they lacked the clear purpose why they were enrolling. And our investigation into the Open University, the base period of the investment investigation was the beginning of this century, the first 10 years, has confirmed that the corruption, the predominant corruption that dominates the academic institutions in the United Kingdom, has not left the Open University, which represents the others, the majority of the So we shall be talking about all of these in due course later, another time. We'll be ending this one at 50 minutes, I think, at 09:21 GMT on Friday, the 4th of August 2023. There are many items and many issues and many topics that we can cover in due course, including an extensive, comprehensive narrative update on baby angel Geronimo.